It's hard to be serious the more you drink.
It is. Can be. That's usually how it works.
Welcome back to Nip It in the Bud, where we take off our shirts and smoke weed.
Hey, wait, now I got two white buttons.
Hold on.
What is this?
Before we get into that, I left you a little present. Do you see the second one?
There. Fucking A, awesome. Now we're good.
All right. Welcome to the Roadkill Podcast. My name is Laurel. Down on the other end, we have Mark Roadkill of Roadkill Custom Drums as your host today. And we are joined by a returning guest, Mr. Zachary Hendrick here, comedian and drummer extraordinaire. That's just going to be your hook from now on. Comedian and drummer extraordinaire.
I'm into it.
You good for that?
I'm into it. It's a lot better than what I'm usually called.
All right. We're also joined today by Mr. Craig Booker. Am I saying that right? Booker?
That's me.
You got it. Welcome to the show, brother. We're excited to have you. Glad you're able to make it out today. So actually, Craig says sort of is a late addition to the panel, and not that that's a bad thing in any way, shape, or form. The person we originally had scheduled had to drop off, and we were like, oh, who should we put in this seat? And I was like, you know what? Instead of us just trying to pick somebody that we know, let's reach out to some of these guys that are coming on the show, see if anybody they would like to be on the show with. So I reached out to Zach, and he said, oh, reach out to Craig. He's out of Jesse's. Frankie knows who he is. I jam with him a lot. He's a lot of fun to jam with, and I think he'd be a really interesting person. I went, okay. And he sent me your Facebook link. Right. And I was like, all right, I'll send him a message. So I typed up what I felt was a very professional sounding message. And I was like, hey, my name's Laurel. I hosted this podcast. We had this slot available, and Zach recommended for you to join him and be a guest on an episode. Would you be interested? And the very first thing I saw was you laughed at it.
So did you know that I was part of this?
I didn't know you were part of it at the time.
See?
I didn't know you were part of it. I was like, who's this Laurel?
So he had never
Who's
come.
this Laurel guy? So
I'm used to that.
So I'm sitting on the front porch.
Mm-hmm.
I like to go out on the front porch at the end of my day before I turn in for the night. And so I'm sitting on the front porch and I'm playing spades on my phone. And I'm like, who's this interrupting my spades game? It always happens when I have a good hand. So,
oh, man.
So I was like, okay, let me see. So I started, let me see who this guy is. So I clicked on your Facebook. I was like, okay, he looks like a family guy. So I'll go ahead and respond to him.
Yeah, but you remember what your response was?
I don't recall what my response was. What was my response?
Your first response was, I think I have a dentist appointment that day. And I was like, it said 6:00 at night.
Oh, yeah. my dental.
I messaged back Zach. I was like, I think he thinks I'm a spammer.
my dental appointment was actually at 4 today.
Oh, really? Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so the drugs are just starting.
Oh, gotcha.
I'm starting being able to feel my mouth. So if I'm stumbling over words or whatever.
Oh, so it's a perfect night to punch you.
Right.
You won't even
I won't feel nothing.
What do you mind? What'd you have done?
I had a root canal.
Oh shit! I'm sorry. That's okay. Well,
yeah.
I understand the hesitation now. I read that and I was like, oh, he thinks I'm a spammer. I messaged Zach like, I don't think he's taking me seriously.
Thanks, Zach, for mentioning me.
I was like, he's probably thinking, who's this Nigerian prince of podcast trying to scam me?
It's not a scam. But now that you're
it's
here, we'd love
funny
to talk to
because
you about
I
your car
invited him
insurance rate.
years ago, and he's like, "What's a podcast?"
Right.
But no, so Zach recommended. He talked about how you play trumpet at Jesse's and you'll come jam. And he says that I'm going to quote you directly here, that you're one of his favorite people to jam with just because you're so dynamic and you're a lot of fun to play with. But he did also say that you tend to show up, play, and then disappear. And so he was like, I don't really know much about him, but I want to know more.
That's another reason I recommended and wanted Craig on, is because we all know and love Craig, but there's a great mystery to Craig. We don't know a lot about him.
I am a very reserved person.
There's nothing wrong
for the
with
most part. But
until tonight.
Until the night. But yeah, I have to get up early in the morning.
I got you. We won't stay. We won't keep you too long.
Because I have students to teach.
So
a lot of times that's why.
What do you teach?
Elementary.
Elementary. Oh, God
First
bless your
graders.
patience. Oh my God.
Yeah,
I have a
first
second
graders.
grader at home right now.
Whoa. You're a first grade teacher.
I'm a first grade teacher.
Patience of a
First
saint.
grade.
That's right.
Yeah, no kidding.
How many are in your class?
18.
I couldn't deal with 2.
The first graders
I
are
got
the
2
best,
kids
though.
that age.
First off,
First graders are the best.
First off, let me just say, as a parent, as well as someone who has lots of friends who are teachers, I know that the industry hasn't been. I'll use the word kind. It hasn't been very rewarding, especially financially for teachers. So thank you very much for what you do, because that's a lot of work for what you get on the back end. So thank you very much for being a teacher and doing what you do. And on the other hand, thank you so much for your patience.
I appreciate that.
I have a second grader at home, and I love him. I love you, Chase. You're my firstborn. You're my first everything. But God damn.
Or if he just cloned himself
first
17
graders
times.
are the best. I actually taught. So I started teaching. I taught here in Winter Haven.
Okay.
This is our second stint in Winter Haven.
Okay.
So my wife is from Winter Haven. So I actually taught at the high school that she went to.
Okay.
At Winter Haven High School. So taught at Winter Haven for a year. Then when our firstborn was born.
Teach first grade.
Right.
You taught high school.
My experience, favorite grades to teach are 11th grade and first grade.
Okay.
I don't know, maybe something about the ones. I don't know.
There's a good joke in there somewhere.
Or a band name.
Yeah. The
One,
ones.
11 to 1.
11 to 1. There you go.
He likes teaching the
That
ones because the others
that
are
sounds like a
just
good name for like a late night jazz band. 11 to 1.
Or 111.
Yeah.
Thank you. I've been trying to think of a name
11
There you
to
go.
1.
for a jazz trio or a jazz, quintet.
Or just 11 1.
Yeah.
No, 11 to 1, because
I
a
think
lot of the
11
really
to
good
1.
jazz bands will play the late night shows. So
Right.
11 to 1 is a really good fit.
Actually,
That's a
yeah.
good-
Yeah, spelled out.
Thank you. That
11
name is now
1.
taken.
Go.
11 to 1 is now taken.
Keep an eye out for 11 to 1
Spell it
at the
out fancy
social.
like
and-
that.
All spellings and capitalizations
11
taken.
1.
Gotcha.
Got that shit. There you
All
go.
very efficient. 11 to, I like that. Yeah.
And I
Don't
get
try
my
no
commission
backwards
off
out.
that
Oh,
shit.
Appreciate
no
that.
commission. He technically came up with it. I just said it out loud. It was hanging right there.
11 to 1. Thank you. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
no. So actually, that brings up an interesting topic. You sounds like you're putting together a jazz trio.
I'm trying to. So I've been working with 3 other guys. So it's not a trio.
Okay.
It's
Technically.
Quartet.
Quartet.
Okay.
Or-
Yeah. So,
I know.
but
I know my
that project's
vocabulary.
been suspended for a while
Quattro.
Okay.
because I want to go back to the shed
Okay.
and figure some things out. So
That's fair.
I suspended the project for right now.
Okay.
So-
Who are you working with? Anybody that we might know?
None of the guys. I don't think any of the guys you guys know. So
You might be surprised.
Yeah. So piano player Mike Thigpen.
The name rings a bell, but I can't say that I know him.
Yeah.
I've chatted a bit with David Breimer, who's a big jazz guitarist, and some of those guys. And so he's over at what's the record company he's at? It's a Pop Records or I can't. Sorry, David. I know you just told me this too. But there he works at a record studio, and he brings in a lot of jazz musicians to work with him too. But anyways, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah. So and then so Big Pen, he's probably a few years younger than me, probably like 7 years.
Okay.
Younger than I am, and then the drummer, we call him MJ.
Okay.
So he's in his 20s.
Okay.
So he's still in school. So we have different obstacles to work. And then Mr. Griffin, he's our bass player.
Mr. Griffin.
Yeah, Dr. Griffin, he's our bass player.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know the names, but I am excited to hear that the because especially with jazz, it's hard to get some of the younger folks involved. I mean, I was surprised to find out that Zach liked jazz. I mean, he came out. We saw Marvin, which is like a jazz rock fusion, which is a very interesting show. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
They
Go
were
check
awesome.
them out. They are they told a hilarious story that I won't spoil in here because I'm hoping to get them on the show sometime. But it was a very fun group, and the music was phenomenal. But
Who's the group?
Marbin, Marbin. I think they're out of Maryland, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Spoil it, and then they have to come defend themselves.
And
You like to play jazz?
And I believe they call themselves.
I'm self-taught by ear, so I will try, but anything that I did learn has all been on like 4/4 time. It's really hard for me to break that, and I know most of jazz is played in more of an off-kilter time. There's a bit more of a finesse to jazz that I just don't have the proper training for.
I mean that
classic jazz and then fusion. You're hopping in and out of signatures.
Yeah, exactly. So, but you play jazz, right?
Yeah, so I'm a big jazz fan. And there's two sides of it. So I always liked jazz. I didn't have a TV in my room growing up, really. I had this little Magnavox radio starting when I was like 6.
Okay.
And 94.9, it's like hip hop and R&B now. It used to be a jazz station. And it was like your Kenny G dentist office jazz during the day. But at night, they would do classic real jazz. And as a little kid, I became addicted to the sound of the stand-up bass, and you could actually hear the fingerings. And oh, there's a joke in there somewhere, but there's
well, you had it.
Craig's up here going, no, not about that.
And then the other side,
she was over 14, right?
Anyways, so you listen to late night jazz.
The other side's always surprising to people, and non-musicians have trouble even seeing the bridge. Musicians will probably get what I mean, though. But the other way that I arrived to jazz and more jazz fusion and really like complicated jazz was through death metal, because death metal actually utilizes a lot of the like fundamentals of jazz.
Oh yeah,
especially in drumming, and with the challenge of drumming and the progression of wanting harder and wanting to listen to more advanced stuff. And I may just be partially broken, but jazz, I always tell people, is the tip of the mountain, not only with drumming, but with a lot of instruments.
Well, so and when I was in Atlanta, Georgia, I was playing in this, I wouldn't call it metal, but it was like a heavy rock band. And the lead guitarist was this kid, Alex. Alex, if you're watching, shout out to you, bud. Hope you're doing well. I think he just got married recently, actually. But that might have been a few years ago. Way out of tune with him. But
he don't know when this is coming out.
Right, correct. He doesn't even know the show exists. But I'll send this to you, Alex. But Alex is, I mean, I was in my 20s in the band, and he was finishing high school. He was like the baby of the band, but he is a phenomenal jazz guitarist. Holy shit, the finger work this kid has on a guitar is phenomenal, especially for his age. And he would always, whenever we would write a new song, we would always try to do, you know, the typical power chords and hard rock and all that stuff. And he came in and he goes, no, try this like minor 7th chord and then slide up into this one. He had all these really neat jazz riffs, and he would play it clean. Shut the fuck up. Jesus.
I'm a fucking drummer. I don't give a shit about chords.
He just played.
Shut the fuck.
Let me finish my story. I let you talk about drums all the time. But he would take these jazz chords and he would show it to us clean, and we'd go, I mean, that's kind of jazz. That's not really like rock and roll and metal. And he goes, watch this. And he turns on the distortion, plays the exact same thing, and we went, oh, that's cool. And that was kind of where I started finding that jazz was cool. But I do not have the proper classical training to play it, and I'm fully aware of that. I did take some lessons as a kid, but I quickly lost interest in that. And the only reason I ever picked music back up is because girls liked it. And I will own that to the day I die. My wife knows it. But
she likes music.
Yeah, she does like music. Whether she admits it or not, she likes music. But
Metallica.
Yeah, we're actually taking my son to Metallica. Right, my 2nd grader, he's going to Metallica this summer.
Hey, they were hearing that shit in the womb, so I don't give a fuck.
But and it's really cool to see jazz and even blues. Blues permeates rock and roll too.
Right. Like, blues permeates everything.
Yeah. Blues is the precursor to rock and roll.
Blues is shit.
I would say.
Yeah. Blues is life.
Blues is.
Blues. You can't get no better than blues. Blues is life.
And I don't know if I call the music that I do myself jazz.
Okay.
Now when I'm playing other people's standards,
okay,
when I'm doing the jazz standards, or then I consider that to be jazz. But me myself, I think it's along the realms of jazz, but I'm still trying to find myself.
Yeah.
As a musician. So I don't know if like what I play like in a traditional sense, like if some of the people who have really been who grew up and trained under the classical jazz sense, if they would consider it, to be jazz. I think it is in a way, because I'm more so like because early jazz was improvised.
Yes.
More so than, writing it down on paper.
Well,
so in that sense,
in that same sense, blues and jazz have a lot in common, because they both started from this very raw improvised thing. And even today, I would say that in blues and in jazz, there's two major categories each. Within blues, you've got the classic Delta blues, and then you've got more of like the soulful blues, or more of the like rocking blues, and those are like the two major categories. Within jazz, you have more of the classical jazz, which I think has more of the traditional sounds in it, more of the proper brass and woodwinds, and more of that, forgive me if I'm using the wrong word here, but more of that kind of scatty nature to it. Meanwhile, then you have the more modern jazz that involves a lot more like electronic sounds and keys and more modernized. I would refer to it more as like a Chicago jazz, right, versus like a New Orleans jazz. And for me, I've always been very partial to the New Orleans jazz. I love that classic sound.
The sound, the New Orleans sound. Yes.
I love that for sure. But we were talking outside about exactly what you were saying about how everybody, whether it's a comedian, whether it's a musician, you start off mimicking the people that you're a fan of. And then over time, you find yourself through all of that. Right. So you said you're still on your journey with finding that. Who is your inspirations? Who's the people you're mimicking?
So it's, with jazz with me, my musical journey is it's not a traditional story or a story that you would normally hear. I wasn't like heavily involved with jazz as a youngster. Being the seventh of eight children, I basically listened to whatever my brothers and sisters were playing on the radio before they were getting ready to go to school. Yeah. So, I didn't get to choose. Right. Yeah. I didn't get to choose. So I'm listening to, what my brothers and sisters are playing, what my cousins are playing, what their friends are playing, for the longest time. And at that time, the station in Kansas City, KPRS, was the main station, that we listened to. And at the time, they played a lot more jazz on the radio. Yeah. But then it kind of got, pushed away. You didn't hear as much of it. But I started playing the trumpet in high school. Okay. And so band. Okay. And I didn't, I was just playing. I didn't know, I would be peeking over at the musician next to me, trying to figure out the fingering of the trumpet. And I'm sure the band director knew what I was doing. So I'm just looking, I didn't know the notes, I didn't know how to read the the music. And
I can relate on this. My parents signed me up for piano lessons when I was a young kid. It's just one of those, every kid should know at least a little bit of piano. And my music teacher, I did this for like 2 years. My music teacher would always put the sheet music up on the piano, and then she'd go, okay, remember these notes, start playing them. And I would sit there and go, can you show it to me real quick? And then she'd go, okay, you play like this, that. So you follow right there. And all I was actually doing was watching her fingers. Right. And then I would just mimic her. I would just copycat what she did instead of actually reading the sheet music. So 2 years of lessons, never learned how to read sheet music. Or I can read it if you give me the time to go, okay, that's where C is, da, 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 G. Okay. But it's not something
you can't read and play.
I can't read and play it. And it takes me forever to read one bar.
and speaking of that, so like last night I was watching Freddie Hubbard. Okay. And they were having a studio session.
Yeah, I've seen those. I've seen those on YouTube.
The guy didn't make not one mistake. Like none of the musicians in the studio session, they didn't make not one mistake. Like the director.
That's because it was an original. So
I don't know. I don't know. I wonder, like, when did they receive?
I don't think it should be. I mean, I'm just a type person. I intentionally will not copy an original song. Just when I play what I feel.
Mm-hmm.
If I actually play it original, that's a blessing because I can't do that usually.
Yeah.
Right.
But I play what I feel. I don't want to play somebody else's music.
Mhm.
I want to play mine.
Play your music. But they didn't like.
I was looking at like the design.
They're doing what?
They're fucking with me.
Oh. Yeah. So they were in the studio and the band. What is he?
No. I was listening to your story and I looked over at Zach and Zach's just
Staring at Dan Sperry.
staring at the drum, the new
drum.
lamp that you made.
Oh.
So
You
I
wanna play it?
mentioned,
You
I
wanna
was like,
play
"Are
it?"
you okay?" And he goes, "Huh? Oh no, ADHD. I was just looking at the free whiskey sticker." I was just like, "You're looking at it for a while."
I never even noticed that
Okay.
sticker
Well,
until
by the
until
way,
you said something.
That
about
is actually a lamp. And I've got local band stickers on there, and I'm having the local musicians that are on the band sign it.
it.
And one day I'll donate that for a fundraiser, probably at one of Melanie's things.
Yeah, or maybe for the next time we do a
Because
live show.
I need to raise a lot of money for my own shocker.
AED.
Can you just confirm that those are cactuses? Then I can quit looking at it.
Yes,
That's
those
what
are
I've been trying to
cactuses.
figure out. All right.
What did you think they were?
What are you looking at?
I
He's
was
looking
like,
at the free whiskey sticker on the bottom of that white drum.
I was
Right,
like-
I got that, but cactus.
I was like, I didn't
I
Free whiskey band.
I was like,
I think they're cactuses, but cacti, but they're from Florida. They're probably trees.
cacti. Probably trees.
that's what's left of the orange groves.
Oh, shit.
That's a citrus greening orange tree.
Oh my
Yeah, when
goodness.
we first came down here, it was my first stint down here. I was like, man, oranges everywhere.
You said you're from Missouri originally.
From Missouri, right?
Yeah.
And then second stint is like, where do all the orange groves go?
We were just talking about this on the earlier episode. I've only been here for 2 years, and the amount
Mm-hmm.
of time I've been here, I have seen entire orange groves vanish and become housing developments in less than a year.
Mhm.
It's crazy to see how much things have changed, but I still see oranges every now and again.
Right.
We were driving.
They're coming
I went
from
out-
somewhere.
I went out to Bach Tower last week. My wife did a photo shoot for Laura Breimer, and we were on our way out there. And they have huge orange groves out underneath the hilltop that the Bach Tower
They're
sits
not
on.
huge. They're small, and they keep them there to keep.
Just let me
people
talk it
from
up. They were
moving
really
in.
nice. I met some of the folks that worked there. Let me be nice and talk it up. It was a really pretty sight from up there. It looked like these huge orange groves down at the bottom, and they had ripe oranges, and I was tempted to pull over and grab one.
Get one. Fresh from Florida.
I will
There you
say I worked at a packing house when greening first hit, and it was crazy to see in the volume
Oh, really?
that it was, because I worked in packing, so I mostly made pallets and loaded them. But in our downtime, we would go help the ladies grade. And when we were grading, usually in a grading process, because I've graded tomatoes before too, you let most go by, but every 4 or 5 tomatoes, one that needs to go be juiced or turned into ketchup, whatever, because it's not fit. Well, when greening hit, everything was
So
going
the
to
ketchup
juice.
is the bad tomatoes.
Yes, ketchup is bad tomatoes. Absolutely. It's
Really? I did not know that.
ketchup is tomatoes that are unfit for other stuff.
They
Too
didn't
ripe
make
to
the
go.
cut.
Right, exactly.
Interesting.
Too
Wow.
ripe to go, which means they're
there's-
fucking rotten.
There's A, B, and C grade with tomatoes. That was at Del Monte. But for Haines City Citrus is where I did oranges. And we were juicing most of them. Like, we were only letting so many go by. And it was crazy to see when you knew how it was supposed to be.
Tell the fucking world this, because this ain't censored.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, there are a lot of conspiracies about
Fucking
it.
idiots eat this shit.
I've even heard ones about, there's this one guy that owned a lot of orange groves and things, and basically had this devised and created in a lab. Who's to say? But going back to the, you had a natural, like, it was just the best looking thing ever. I took my kids up to Fanning Springs not long ago,
Oh yeah.
and I found this lone juvenile tangerine tree, and I got stabbed to shit getting a tangerine from it because when they still have the big thorns.
Right.
But that was the sweetest piece of fruit I may have ever had from anywhere, and it was just a good old Florida tangerine tree. And we do still have oranges here now. But from what I understand, what we have here now has been hybridized with like California species and other orange species.
Most all of it's been
in Brazil
edited.
Yeah, and it's.
Can I just point out something? Can I point out a random like ADHD fact that I just thought of? What? You used to grade fruits and well, I guess tomatoes are fruits. You used to grade fruits. You grade kids, and I grade colors when I edit footage. Mark's the only one here.
Was Mark great?
What do you grade, Mark?
Bacon.
Bacon. Sound like my wife. Fucking a bacon lover.
Well, it's like I'm gonna grade, so I'm gonna grade bacon.
I'm torn between naming this episode 11-1, and for your future jazz or future quartet, we'll just say quartet. Yeah, and then or naming
it's
four graders.
It's gonna be like a sex
Grady Judd.
Great. But yeah, so I mean that's super, like this is fascinating. I'm loving getting to know a lot of these. I had no idea you were doing that. That's a really cool fact. And now you work.
I know. I didn't know you was Mexican.
A little bit. Just the hard work and having kids in my 20s part, absolutely. And I do like chiclets.
Where's that cricket button? Where's that? Is
that the gum?
Yeah, it's the little square gum.
Okay, I was make sure we talk about the same thing.
Oh yeah, when I was a kid, I chiclets.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when you guys are playing in the group, do you like to have the
in-ears?
In-ears.
So yes. I like to have the in-ears because I can hear what I want to hear. I can hear it balanced and controlled, and I can feel where I'm supposed to be in the song a lot easier. But the only drawback that I have with in-ears is that it disconnects you from the audience.
Right.
You're so focused in here. It's like plugging your ears right now and trying to have a conversation with me. Yes, you can hear me, but it sounds really muffled. It sounds very
But if
far
it's
away.
if it's balanced, you don't have it turned up so high that that's
Correct.
on you.
Correct.
That's on you to go down a little bit so I can hear the crowd.
It depends on what your goal is in playing. If your goal is to connect with the audience, if you're going to do in-ears, take one out.
Right.
If your goal is to serve the song and make the song the best it can be, and you don't want anything to distract you, in-ears are exactly what you need. They are a powerful, awesome tool. But just
I struggle with them,
and that's some people do. There's nothing.
And most
wrong
time
with
I'm like, letting one, hang out.
Most.
But I don't like that. I like to actually hear, like hearing the trumpet through the in-ear is like. It distorts the sound, right? So
you've heard the notion that everybody has three voices. They have the voice you hear in your head,
right?
You have the voice that you hear speaking through your own jaw, and then you have the voice that everybody else hears when you talk, right? So when you're playing an instrument, you're hearing that instrument from the point of playing it. It sounds very different from the other side of the instrument where you're playing it.
Exactly.
And if you're using in-ears and listening to what you're playing, you're hearing it from that side. It sounds weird. It's like hearing yourself talk on a recording. It sounds weird.
But that's the way everybody else hears you.
But that is the way everybody else hears you. But if it serves you,
that's frightening.
It is. That was one of my craziest things when he said, "You want to do a podcast?" It's like, have you ever heard me fucking talk?
Yeah.
and it's like, dude, even this will come out 2 months from now, and I'll look at it, it's like, God damn, I sound like that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And it's just, and that's one of the hardest fucking things to get over is that self what do you call it?
You can talk to anybody that works on
like
radio or television or movies. The weirdest thing is to hear yourself and see yourself on screen or in a recording or on the radio.
Mhm.
They'll all tell you this. It's the weirdest thing to overcome is knowing how you sound to everybody else.
But once you overcome that, and that's one of the things that I've had to do is because I know I sound like a fucking redneck. You know, I don't hunt, I don't fish. I'm kind of redneck. I don't know fucking what the fuck I am. But anyway, you know, once I got over that, it's like, hey, what you see is what you get.
Now, here's an interesting question. And this
You know, and if everybody hears me like
Mhm.
this is the way I want to hear me because I got to get used to that if I want to know how I sound to other people.
Yeah.
Right.
So let me ask you this. Now that you've heard how you sound to other people, has it changed how you hear yourself?
Oh, God, no, I'm still
No.
stupid.
So now translating that back into what we're talking about with the in-ears, when you hear, have you gotten used to hearing the trumpet? Not necessarily used to like a preference, but now that you understand what it sounds like, has it affected how you hear yourself when you play without the in-ears?
I'm kind of wondering if I'm getting an honest opinion from people now.
That's a very honest answer. That's a good answer.
That's kind of right. But I don't know. Like, it just sounds like a bad mute. It sounds like a mute with something in it. Like, that's not, you know.
There's a lot of trust you have to put in the person who's running front of house sound to balance it and make it sound good.
Right.
And even though you're hearing it one way and it sounds really good to you, you have to trust that they're taking that sound that sounds different out there and making it sound just as good to the audience.
Right.
I understand that for sure. So yeah, has that changed how you listen to yourself when you play, or has that had an effect on you, or is it just something you try to ignore and tune out?
No, I just never thought about it that way. So, like, I like having, like, the trumpet projects well.
Yes.
You know, the way it's designed.
Well, that's what it's built for.
Right, it's what it's built for. So, but I actually like playing with the bell next to the mic.
Okay.
So even like if it's a smaller venue, then there's, you know, I still like it on the mic, but I'm not playing as loudly,
Yeah.
you know, because it's a smaller venue. But if it's like, because I've had musicians tell me that, okay, you don't need a mic in this situation. I can hear you well back there. But I just like the way that it projects through the microphone.
No, that's
so even when I'm at home practicing sometimes I still play through the mic.
That's awesome.
So,
But that makes
my
a
neighbors
difference.
are probably like, there he goes again.
Oh, fuck.
Well, I guarantee
You should
these
come
two
meet
drummers
my
can tell you the
parents.
exact
I
same
play
thing.
drums.
I guarantee these drummers can tell you
yeah.
the exact same thing. So let's translate that to you as a comic, because drumming's a little different. Like I feel like for the most part with the drums, you're hearing the same thing the audience is hearing. Maybe a little different because you're behind the kit, but but as a comedian, hearing yourself in the phone videos or professional videos that get taken, was that a surprise to you when you first heard yourself or saw yourself in recording, and then did that affect how you hear yourself on stage?
It's gotten a little easier with time, but even pre-comedy, I've always hated my own voice, especially hearing it back. What I hear on recordings is
It's what we hear.
what I hear on recordings
Yeah, you're that
is
dumb fucker.
it's a dumber, slower version of what I hear in my head. Like
Exactly.
what resonates in my skull.
We're going to start the Dumb Brothers Society.
I hear the dumb voice. I hear the Southern accent that creeps in and out. But when I listen back to myself, like when I listen to this when it airs, it's going to be when I listen back to myself, like, like,
A little bit of tomato without the tongue.
I sound like Andre the Giant starting Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure or something.
We got material here. We can work with this.
I know what you like to relate. The first time I heard myself talking on something, I listened back to it and was like, why do I sound like Bert from Bert and Ernie? I couldn't stand it. I was like, this is awful. Is this how people hear me? I'm just never going to talk again.
I never thought of that, but you kind of.
Yeah. kind of do.
Hey Bert. This is awful. It's like a less mature Squidward.
SpongeBob.
Maybe we should get a 2-bedroom, Bert.
I can't watch SpongeBob for nothing.
My dad hates
It's
it
so
too. Both my
irritating.
kids love it. My kids love it. My dad can't stand it. My
Is
kids
it the
love
laugh?
My dad claims it's just the dumb factor. He can't stand the dumb factor. And to a degree, I can understand. However, I grew up with SpongeBob, so I don't have an issue with SpongeBob, but I can't watch some of these movies, like a lot of the Will Ferrell movies, like a lot of those really dumb humor, like idiot in the world kind of movies. I can't stand those.
But you watch them and you laugh your ass off the whole fucking way through them.
Look, I don't really
All
like
them
shows like The
goddamn-
Office
I mean-
either, because it's the same concept. It's a bunch of idiots I know, that's exactly the reaction I get. And here's the best part, and you're going to laugh at this too. What did we emulate when we made the trailers for the Roast Me Sunday show?
That was pretty Office-esque.
It was very Office-esque. So I'm good at making it, but I don't like it. I don't find it funny.
They made a show of format. Like they took Spinal Tap and syndicated it for weekly TV, and now it's just a format.
Yeah, there's a lot of shows that do that now.
Woody Woodpecker was our generation's SpongeBob.
There you go.
Yeah, I couldn't
Yeah,
stand
Looney
Woody
Tunes. What do you
Woodpecker.
Woodpecker there now? That's
Yeah, just irritating.
Yeah.
Right.
How old are you?
54.
Oh, fuck. You're more Pee Wee Herman than Woody Woodpecker.
Oh
Pee Wee
God.
Herman.
Oh God.
Pee Wee Herman, that was high school for me. 9th grade. Yeah.
Yeah, the only memory I have of Pee Wee Herman was his trial.
Right. That was 9th grade for us.
He was on trial.
I think.
Yeah.
Wasn't
He was on trial.
He
I mean, why the fuck? I know why.
He went-
It's like, why the hell would you be put on trial for masturbating in a theater
Oh, God.
with fucking porn?
exactly like it's
it's
the
like,
movie
that's
was
why
really
the fuck
good.
You went.
Oh God.
The-
So I've
he
got-
just liked the
I've
movie.
got a story
Why
about
did
this.
they pass
Why
out
did
the
I-
fucking-
why did I
why
break
did
up?
they
Who
pass
brought up
out
Pee
the
Wee Herman?
fucking papers and napkins on the way
He did
in?
this. He did this.
I
to
don't
us.
know.
He did this.
Son
to
of a
us.
bitch.
He
He was framed.
Oh,
Next, the mobster went to a buffet and he ate food.
What?
What will he do next?
Hold on, I have a story about this. When I was
Wow.
a senior in high school,
So you
I
know
worked
where
at a
this
movie
is gonna
theater,
go.
and
Right.
to show my age a little bit, this was when The Dark Knight came out, the one with Heath Ledger as the Joker, and Christian Bale's Batman, the second one in that movie series. And I worked the night of the premiere of the movie, so I didn't get to sit in and watch it. I had to clean up popcorn and all that crap. But halfway through the movie, we had some lady come out of the theater, and she goes, "I need some napkins and the police." And we went,
That's
"Why?"
disgusting.
Yeah. And we went,
That's disgusting.
"Why?" And she goes, "Just come with me." And we go into the theater, and she stops and she grabs the manager's shirt. And she goes and points up into the stands. And there is some dude with this big old curly fro, and he's standing in the very center of the whole theater, standing up over all these people who are watching the movie, just jerking it right there. Jerked it right in this lady's hair. They're right in front of him. So his nickname was Batman. And he got escorted out by the police.
Oh.
And now it's ruined the Batman movie for me.
Well, he picked the wrong fucking theater.
It
That's not the right movie.
Dude, come on. Maggie Gyllenhaal is not that hot.
wasn't even a scene with her in it. I don't know
Like
what he was on something. He didn't, when the cops were dragging him out, he didn't know where the hell he was. It was the most bizarre thing.
Can you imagine coming down from that high and going,
I did
what did I do that I'm in
He
jail?
already came down once. Oh, God.
Embarrassing.
Okay,
Let's get off this. Let's
and then you're in fucking jail for masturbating in a theater, and then you go, "Why am I here?" And they go, "You don't know."
Pee Wee Herman sitting there like, "I don't know, man."
Especially in his voice,
Right
is like,
beside him.
I can't even do it.
He was like, "This was in the right kind of movie, you freak."
Oh my God.
But yeah, Pee Wee's a lot more justified. I mean, why are there public porno theaters? But
Bambi had nice legs.
Oh.
Yeah, that is true. Bambi's mom, MILF.
Well,
Crickets. Oh dear.
oh my god.
Oh dear. That was bugged up.
But anyway, this went
Heifer.
off the rails.
Yeah, way off.
That's what went off the rails.
It did, though.
Oh God. Anyways.
It's just too punny for me right now.
Well, guys, thank you all so much for coming out and being on this today. Craig, thanks for giving us a shot. I know I sounded like I was about to tell you about car insurance earlier. I'm glad you're able to come out and join us.
I didn't know what it was. I was like, what? Podcast.
But before we end this, because, I still wanted to say something, it's like I've been watching Craig for, about fucking whole time I've been playing drums and started going to Jesse's when Jim and Judy's was there.
Right.
You started coming about the same time. And I've watched you stand there just almost frozen scared. It's like, what do I do here?
Yeah.
To over the years, even with somebody back there that can't play drums, going, okay, let's just go here and start playing together and really making good music. And we're doing cover tunes, whatever, and stuff up there.
Well, that's kind of the whole point of these jams is it's a master class.
But it turns into almost a magical night just having the horn on there, having you up there with trumpet, fucking just. Right. It just turns it into a whole new feel. And sometimes, and I've watched it over the years, just turned into where it was a nervous thing into more confidence, where it's like, okay, I've played with you before. Now I kind of know what you're going to do, and you just go through with it.
Sometimes the nerves are there, and sometimes they're not. But it's kind of funny because I played a little in high school, not a lot. My main thing was track and field. So I went to college about 50 pounds ago, cross country and track and field. Right. And so during that time, I put the horn down. I wasn't playing. Right. And but track and field, I was never nervous for the most. You get butterflies, but I was never nervous. So it's a different experience. It's the same thing in a way, but it's a different, but at the same time, it's not.
On track and field, you're performing for yourself and your team.
Yeah.
And that's because I was in track too. That was a long time ago. But, you
kind of look like the guy that tripped me. I never got over that.
You're not old enough.
We're about to take this outside.
I
never had an episode end like this before.
Yeah. I was in Illinois.
Indoor championships. Guy clipped me from behind.
Oh, we never had indoor.
I thought the official was gonna call it back. Never caught it, and you look just like that guy. I never got over it.
That's why I was so hesitant to play horn when I was fucking playing drums.
Yeah.
But no, so kind of coming back to that, like that's to echo what Mark's saying, like that's why these jams are so important. If you're a young musician and you want to get into a band, one of the best things you can do is go out to these open jams and learn how to play with others, because no amount of practice in your room, playing with your favorite songs, or even taking lessons will train you for playing with others like an open jam will. It's also a great place to go meet other musicians.
Or even older musicians. Yeah. It doesn't fucking matter.
Exactly.
It's like, because it takes the older ones to teach
the young ones.
Unless the older ones are like me and just starting out, and then we're worthless.
Exactly.
But,
and to dial back to what I think Mark's point was, and kind of the whole reason you were invited tonight is because Zach was so impressed playing with you, and you had so much fun playing with you, which really speaks to your skill and ability and all that time you've put into it over the years, that you've gained a reputation as someone who is a phenomenal musician, who brings something special to the stage when you're playing, and that you're a genuine lot of fun to play with. And I think that speaks a lot to not only your musicianship, but your character too. And I think that's a fantastic thing,
that.
Of course.
I appreciate
feeling.
That. Yeah. I heard.
He brings feeling.
There you go.
We'll already be having a really good thing building up and going a lot of times, but then Craig will step up there and the sound just gets so much more rich and complete. and it adds more of a dynamic.
It does.
Yeah.
It really completes, your standard 3 or 4 piece.
Yeah, and this is kind of like an homage to anybody that is quick to disregard horns. Let's we're wearing the Florida shirts. Let's talk about their new song Surfer Girl. Okay, that's a real fun beach rocking song, and one of the things that makes it is the fact that they have horns in it, and you wouldn't really expect.
They have horns in all their songs.
They do, but I'm using that as an example because that's the one that's kind of riding high right now. And if you want to listen to it, check out Florida on Spotify. Surfer Girl is a phenomenal song. They're a phenomenal band. They're
on tour right now. They're going to be at Jesse's.
Yeah.
They're going to be at Sugar Shack.
I just checked them out today on Spotify actually because I saw the Jesse's thing, and I'm definitely going to try to go to that because I'm a big like Iration, Slightly Stupid fan. They're right in there.
They're gonna be at Jesse's.
Yeah, on Saturday, April 12th. They're doing a show that night.
Okay. But Roadkill Drums is an endorser.
I unfortunately won't be there, but my wife will be. She's gonna be taking pictures for Florida, but she'll be there. So walk up to her and tell her that you just came from the sewer. She'll love that. But
you see that storm drain out there? That's what I just crawled out.
Yeah, I will definitely stop by to check them out.
They kind of fit into this. We were talking about finding your sound earlier. They've really kind of found their own space. And what did Scott call their genre?
Beach rock.
Florida beach rock. That's right.
Florida beach rock.
It's a little bit of reggae. It's a little bit of
dub. It's
all over the place. But it's such a cool
it's a big
sound.
mix. But it's Scott. I mean, I have to say, I have to shout out to
East
Scott.
Coast reggae.
Come on the show. But
there's more members in the band than Scott.
Yes.
It takes the whole fucking band. But Scott's, I've known him for a long time, and he's written a lot of the lyrics. I mean, if you can't listen to his songs and hear Auburndale, or not Auburndale, but fucking Eagle Lake.
Eagle Lake.
Excuse me. Sorry, Scott. Eagle Lake, Florida. You don't know Eagle Lake. You're not Polk County. I can tell you. You listen to his songs, you're going to know he's from Eagle Lake, Florida. Yeah. Polk County. He's born and raised here. Lots of family here, and it's just he's got this stuff going, and it's and it's a lot of, and like you said, Iration is one of my favorite bands too. It's got a lot of the same sounds, kind of the reggae vibe, the dub vibe. It's beach rock, like Scott says, beach rock, Florida beach.
That's
rock.
The first thing I thought of when I heard it.
And we're in for a treat. I can't wait for them to
I'm
come.
So bummed
I can't wait for the Sugar Shack session thing to go on, and they're performing it at the new restaurant they're doing.
As a former bartender, I know exactly what this means. It means it's time to wrap and go get you another drink.
Oh no, I was probably just seeing how much I had left. I don't want to embarrass myself with an empty.
Okay. So shout out to Sugar Shack and all the other Scott.
Sugar Shack
Days
inspired the start of this whole thing. I mean,
exactly, it did.
That was the whole thing behind your dinner jams.
I'm going down there for their first show there. I'm hoping to meet the guys that do Sugar Shack. Actually, tell them thanks for the inspiration. I love their stuff, and it's just I think we all ought to work together as a community, not as competition.
Right.
Well, and Craig, Zach, thank you so much for being on the show with us. Craig, I hope you'll let us know when you get 11 to 1 started up. We'd love to come and see you and have you on the show sometime with the band and talk more music, man. This is what I'm glad. Thank you for coming out tonight.
I appreciate that.
Zach, thanks for joining us again, brother.
Thanks for having me,
more
guys.
of the comedy, more of the music. Maybe we'll see you guys playing together sometime. We'll come out to Jesse's and do a jam night.
Mark.
Ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful night. We'll see you all next time.